Invasion content has brought two new factions to the game, Edencom and the Triglavians. Unfortunately, this has dramatically increased the risk of high-sec travel because Trigs start off as hostile to players and they can spawn on gates, scram, do a ton of damage, and will pod you as well. Now, CCP has introduced an option to the Rat Planner to avoid Triglavian minor victory systems, but these aren't the only systems in which Trig forces can spawn on gates. So it's a good option to use if you haven't yet made the Trigs friendly to you, but it won't prevent you from jumping into systems which have Trig wormholes in them. Moreover, there are areas of space that can effectively have their high-sec access cut off by a Trig wormhole. Of course, there are ways to safely travel through, such as using a fast-aligning ship or a scout to make sure the gates are clear, but it's still a pain in the ass, and it still catches a lot of people off guard. Fortunately, there is an easy way to get positive standings towards both Triglavians and Edencom, so that you can once again travel through high-sec without having to worry about NPC gate camps. Well, assuming you didn't wreck your standings with either faction during Invasions Chapter 3. If so, you can still get positive standings with both, but you'll need to do some grinding. In which case, you might consider joining one of Edencom Defense Initiative's dual standing fleets. Join their Discord for more information, link down below. For everyone starting with 0 standings, however, there is a quick and easy solution. Now, there was initially some confusion as to whether or not dual standings was an exploit. So let me be clear that it is not. The exploit was actually being able to get really high standings in only a matter of hours, which was patched out and all standing gains were reversed. We, on the other hand, will be making use of an intended mechanic. Specifically, we'll need to travel to Pochven and aggro a rogue drone, drifter, or sleeper. Both the Triglavians and Edencom hate those factions, so getting on one of their kills will make both of them like us. And do note that you don't actually have to kill the rat. All the different NPC factions in Pochven fight each other, so you just have to aggro the rat before it dies, and you'll still get the standing. Anyway, all of this is pretty easy to do, but I'll go ahead and provide instructions that even a Day 1 new bro can follow. So, let's get into it. Alright, I put together a fit that can be flown by Day 1 new bros, but you will need to train a few short skills in order to use everything. Moreover, training drones too will allow you to deploy both light drones at the same time. Naturally, there are other skills that can increase your tank or damage, but none of them are really necessary. The fit I made is designed to account for low character skill, and the task before us is easy enough that we don't need to do a bunch of training and preparation. So, at worst, you should only have about 10 hours worth of training to do. Oh, and do note that the social skills have been reported to have no effect on Trig and Edencom standing, so there's no point in training them. Okay, so there is an increased chance of pod loss in Pochven space, and being in a clean clone will also allow you to take the pod express home. So, once you have all the required skills, go ahead and get into a clean clone. You should also consider temporarily setting your home station to Jita or a market, as it will make it easier for you to try again if you accidentally die too early. Next, fit up a cheap-ass frigate. I'll provide a fit in the comments, but you can also make your own. Just bear in mind that the best strategy for dealing with rogue drones, trigs, and Edencom forces is to range tank. And the best strategy for dealing with drifters and sleepers is to quickly land aggro on a target and get out before they delete you from the field. Thus, I recommend a speed of over 2.7 kilometers a second, a targeting range of 60 to 80 kilometers, and an E-Warp module. You might also come across a rogue drone fleet that isn't fighting anyone, in which case having drones will allow you to kill one and be on your way. Additionally, a 3-second align will make it harder for rats and players to catch you, and a little tank can give you a small buffer against piloting errors. Just don't go overboard with it because you won't be able to fit enough tank to be able to face tank the rats. Also, don't worry about doing a lot of damage, as even 10 DPS is enough to take down a rogue drone. It might take a while, but it's still doable. And here's our breacher. It does 2.9k a second, has a 3-second align, 72k targeting range, and a 75k drone control range. I also went ahead and made a slightly higher skilled Maulus fit. You will need to do additional training to get the 3-second align, help out with your cap, and use all 4 drones, but you don't need to have a maxed out character or anything to make it work. So it's still alpha friendly, just not day one alpha friendly. Regardless, its main selling points are more drone damage and a faster warp speed, which should help you to take care of business faster. Naturally, I recommend something like this for anyone who needs to get standing on a bunch of tunes. You'll also want a filament for easy access to parchment. The cheapest one will do. You can also buy an outbound filament if you want, but they can also dump you really far from home, and our ship is cheap, so might as well take the Pod Express home. Next, you'll want to set up an overview tab that has the following entities on it, and then save it. This will not only properly set up your overview, but also create a D-scan filter that you can use to look for rats. You should also probably set up a filter that has player ships, scanner probes, and warp disruption bubbles on it, but I'm not looking to turn this into a complete class on overviews and D-scans. So instead, I'll link a tutorial video down below. In order to use a filament, you'll need to form a fleet, turn your safety to yellow, and get 100k away from stations, gates, mobile depots, and abyssal traces. Once that's done, pop the filament, and you'll be dumped into space in a parchment system. Next, we'll need to scan down a suitable target. Once again, we're looking for rogue drones, sleepers, and drifters. Rogue drones pose very little threat if you keep your distance, so try to stay within a 50 to 80k window. Staying at least 50k away will keep your ship safe, and staying within 80k or so will keep aggro on you and off of your drones. Just do be aware that they move super fast, so don't go burning in straight for them. Once again, it will probably take you a while to kill a rogue drone, but you can kill them, so don't hesitate to go for a rogue drone fleet that isn't currently engaged with another faction. Oh, and there'll be named things like interfering Phase 2 Legionnaire and shit like that, but they're most easily identified by the drone icons, which look like little X's. Drifters and sleepers can hit out to 300k and will kill your ass real quick, so you should probably avoid engaging them if they aren't already fighting something else. However, if they are already engaged, you can get into range, target paint one, and possibly even get out before they kill you. And they will tend to have Hypnosian in the name, or be named rats like Apollo Tyrannos. It should go without saying, but don't aggro any Trig or Edencom rats. Both factions will be hostile to you in Parchment's face until you get positive standings, but they don't pose much of a threat as long as you keep range. Now, they will hit harder and farther than rogue drones, but that won't be a problem as long as you stay at least 60k away. Well, a notable exception to this are wereposts. They will blap your ass out of the sky, so treat them with the same caution that you would treat drifters and sleepers. Anyway, these guys can be identified by having a player ship in their name, i.e. something Damovic, Kikimora, Cerberus, or Basilisk. Once you find a suitable target on your D-scan, warp to it at max coward range. Once again, if it's a fleet of lone rogue drones, you'll actually need to kill one, but if they're engaged with Trig or Edencom forces, you'll only need to cycle your target painter on one of them and then get out. Oh, and it's hard to say exactly how much time you'll have when it comes to drifters, sleepers, and wereposts because they can keep their aggro on their current target for a little while, but between 20 and 60 seconds does seem like a reasonable estimate. Finally, get yourself safe and wait for confirmation. It shouldn't be an issue, but I once had one of my tunes not get the standings gains, presumably because the rat I aggroed ended up surviving, so I had to go back in and do it all over again. Anyway, once you have confirmation, you can self-destruct, YOLO into danger, or take an outbound filament home. Oh, and the EVE University webpage on the topic says that you need to get at least 0.01 standings, but that's not true. I have personally verified that standings as low as 0.003 will make the Trigs neutral to you, and others have verified that standings as low as 0.001 will work as well. So, basically, any positive standings will work, which means aggroing any rogue drone, drifter, or sleeper will work. So, you don't need to go look for ships that have bigger standing gains or do any grinding. Alright, that should be everything. For long-time viewers, I know I haven't been very active as of late, but I have been working on some other videos, so maybe I'll actually get around to finishing them before the heat death of the universe. For everyone else, subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to make sure not to miss out on any of my content. Later.